Welcome, everyone, to Together We Serve TV show every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm so happy you joined us today because you're going to be treated with a guy I've fallen in love with because he's got that servant's heart. He's been at the pinnacle of speaking, the pinnacle of business, works with very successful people, but he helps everybody at whatever level he can hand. When you say Together We Serve, this is our guest, my guest, perfectly. Let's bring Jim on. Jim,
Wow.
welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for that, Steve. I tell you what, but you live your message because I don't know of anybody with whom I've connected in recent years who has more frequently and spontaneously introduced me to other people because you thought there was a spark of possibility there. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a giving person, not just a source of information.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And how to be a 1% expert in your field. Raising my hand, audience, if you're listening to record, I'm sure you're raising your hand. How can we achieve that, Jim?
Well, the first question is, what is the top 1% and what makes me such an authority that I can speak on that subject? And if you look at any group of 100 people, one person is the top 1%. And out of 1,000 people, that's a smaller number. I mean, a larger number, and it keeps going all the way up until we're looking at America, for example, out of 300 million people, we're talking about a pretty big group of folks. But still, in every group of 100 people, there's only one in the top 1%. In your company, how many people work there? In your industry, how many people work in that? What is the top 1%? Top by what criteria? By the money they're earning, I hope, because there's a difference between making it and earning it. If you earn it, you get to keep it. Is it by the influence they exert? Is it by the number of people that they're impacting with what they do? Is it their quality of work? Is it the awards they've achieved or received? When I look at my own career, and now I've been a professional speaker for literally 50 years full time. I've been all over the world. I've spoken in China in 25 major cities on 20 different trips over a 6-year period. I've spoken 10 times in Australia. I've done convention speeches in all 50 US states and every province of Canada, South America, Europe, on and on. I've received every award that they give major speakers. Golden Gavel Award from Toastmasters International, Cavett Award, Speaker Hall of Fame from National Speakers Association, Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame in London. I've written 28 books. I can go on and on. I've got a TED Talk with 3 million views. So in other words, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I've done that in my field, not in your field. Well, how can you advise me in my field when I'm not in the same field as you? Well, here's how. The principles transfer. The principles of what leads you to the top of your field are the same for podcasting and broadcast as they are for home improvement. So I know how to teach people to be a top 1% expert and to become a leading authority in their chosen lane.
So the person, what's the ROI? I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but it is part of the world, because I need return on investment.
Well, return on investment, return on intention, return on, ideas, return on, you can carry it a lot of ways. What's the ROI? Well, first off, if you become so good at what you do that others are willing to pay to see you do it or have you do it for them, then you're already a master. You're already at the expert level. So what are the levels? First level is competent. You got to be able to do your job and do it well enough that others don't have to go back and repair, right? So do what you do so well that it remains done and the recipients, your customers, are happy with the product or the outcome, okay? That's item one, competence. What's the next level? Next level is excellence. And that means that you do it so well that once in a while, people will say, wow, Steve, that was amazing. Do it again. So, excellent means that you can occasionally hit a real home run with what you're doing. And above excellent is expert. Now, when you reach the expert level of competence, that means you can wow people whenever you choose to. You can be brilliant at your work on demand. Now, what's the level above that? Now, all of that's about skill development and understanding the knowledge and wisdom required to do what you do. And so a ton of that is mindset, but a lot of it is experience as well. The next realm you get into has three levels. And the lowest level of that one, or the first level, lowest is a wrong way to look at it. First level of that one is leading authority. It means among all the experts in your field, you're the one that others tend to listen to the most. That people say, hey, what does Steve have to say about this? Okay, yeah, I know that's the conventional wisdom, but I'd like to get the leading authorities' point of view on this. All right, so that's first level, leading authority. Next level, celebrity. You're not only a leading authority, your name is dropped all the time. So people talk about things and they say, well, it's kind of a Steve Ramona approach. I mean, we do what El Master does, and that's the good way to do this. And then the level above that is star or superstar, if you want to say. But let's take my field, professional speaking and training in the field of personal development. Who would be a superstar, a star? Tony Robbins. Anthony Robbins would be up there, Simon Sinek, people like that, people that have made a big, big splash and written lots of John Maxwell, written books, and everybody kind of defers to them and refers to them often. Friends of mine, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, they are in that category of celebrity. And leading authority, my mentor, my number one mentor when I was a young man, Earl Nightingale. And at first I didn't know him. I just had recordings of him that I listened to every day fanatically for 5 years, and it transformed my life and my worldview. And I always wanted to be like Earl Nightingale. Well, I am, thank heavens. I'm pretty much on the world stage, and I've done all the things that Earl did and then some. And I still think he's my superior, but he's gone, so next. I'm
Yeah.
stepping in.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is somebody listening could be a celebrity. Like you mentioned, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, John.
Sure.
So celebrity doesn't mean just one person. There's a multiple level of celebrity. Anthony Robbins.
How many Hollywood celebrities are there?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at the Oscars night. How many walk the red carpet? So that's your field. At the annual event for your industry or niche, who are the folks that gather there, which tends to be the top, usually 5 to 10% of the industry. That's who goes to the national expo or convention for the industry or profession. And among them, there are known celebrities. There are people, ooh, there she is. Man, let's go. Let's see if we can get a selfie with her or just listen in on what she's saying because she's so brilliant, So you know who they are. They're not hard to find, right?
Right.
And to be one, you've got to pay your dues to get there, and it takes three things. You got to have a message or a method. If you what you do as a product, like I've got a guy working on my home right now who is building closets in for me, and his expertise is in his method, not his message. He's able to build exceptional looking first quality closets. Okay, so you got to have a message or a method. If you're an author, it's a message. That's got to be crystal clear as to why others would pay to get that, right? It's got to be so valuable for them, not amazing for you, valuable for them that they would be willing to pay to hear your message or receive your methodology. Okay. Number two, market. You got to pick a lane. You got to, I work with doctors, or I work with attorneys, or I work with contractors, or I work with musicians. Pick a lane, because you cannot get known in humanity unless you first get known in banking or in real estate or
Yeah,
something,
one
right?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is mileage. Get out there and spend some time, in combat, fighting the forces of evil and overcoming the challenges of the world. Develop the experience.
Yeah, I'm thinking of sports. Tom Brady was the top of his game for a certain reason.
Top of the
Um,
top of the top.
right. I'm can't think of Gale Sayers, running back, top of the top
Mhm.
because of his speed. Uh, Bernie, not Bernie Sanders,
We could
Barry
go,
Sanders.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
LeBron
that's,
James, I mean, yeah, we could
yeah,
go on
yeah,
and on. If you
right.
just pick your sport, Simone Biles, there's so many people. But Peter Vidmar in gymnastics won the gold medal in the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. I know Peter. He's a speaker. He's a business friend of mine. And one time we were in a meeting, a 2-day meeting, and he said something to me that I ended up putting in the opening of my book, Relationship Selling. He said, I always, in training, showed up 15 minutes earlier and stayed 15 minutes later than all my teammates. And as a result of that extra training, I was able to score perfect 10 and win the gold medal as a champion.
Put the work in. You talked
Put
about
the
earlier
work in.
work. That's what you're
There
talking
is
about.
no shortcut.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad always told me if you're 50 minutes early, you're late. But he's old school. He was 60s, which is, I still remember it. He's gone in
Yeah.
17, but still remember it. So the audience listening, you've taught me this, which I love you to death to teach me this. Can anybody be these levels?
Yeah, but not the same way as other people do it. See, that's the thing. Everybody's capable of being excellent at something. And some people, this is literal truth, some people are capable of sitting on a production line in a factory and doing the same function again and again and again for an entire shift, hours, and not lose quality. I would lose quality on item number two. I would go completely insane in that environment. That's not what I'm wired for. But I can be excellent in my field. So you need to figure out first off, what are you naturally suited for? And if you do what you're naturally suited for, it's kind of like being an acorn and dreaming of becoming an oak. This is going to happen anyway. But whether you're a good one or a bad one, that's up to you, right? So an acorn that dreams of being a giant sequoia doesn't have a prayer and will have a miserable life of disappointment, not because of their nature, because their mindset, because they chose the wrong path. So figure out what you're naturally suited for. How do you do that? Well, by observing your past performance, your experiences, and what you like. People tend to love what they're good at and suited for, and not
Yeah.
so much what they're not. So if someone says to me, hey, I need you to assemble this complex home improvement item from IKEA, uh, I'm not your guy, because I might get it right, but I'll be in a bad mood by the time it's done, and I'll have a couple of
Frustrating.
busted fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good. Talk about, since you brought the acorn up, which is your symbol to your business, which is beautiful. Talk about the tree you mentioned earlier. I think that imagery is so great for people to hear.
Thank you. Well, the quickest way to learn how the world works is look at nature. Seriously, just look at nature. Like when I'm talking with a corporation, one time I was doing a seminar for the senior executives of Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas. And I showed them a model that ran counter to the popular model of the day for organizational structure. And the popular model at that time was boxes with little lines between them. This is the boss, this is the senior VPs and the VPs and the managers and the department heads and the workers, and so forth. And we've all seen charts like that over the years. Well, I told them, I said, folks, this is dysfunctional. I said, first off, an organization is not a machine or a stack of things. An organization is a group of people, which means it's alive. It has hopes and dreams. It has fears. It has emotional swings. It has intellectual capacity, and not all the intellectual capacities are the same. Some people can process one idea at a time. Some can get 5 at once. So different capacities. So if you're going to represent your organization on paper, do it with a picture of a living thing. And in my office, I have on the wall a picture of a tree as an organizational chart. Now, here's the point. A tree grows toward the opportunity and sends a root system down seeking resources. Same for a business. You have to have resources, suppliers, connections, alliances, banks, material suppliers, and storage facilities and all that. But that's not going to make your business successful. You got to have a growth system above the ground reaching for the opportunity. And the opportunity is not always in the same direction. So it needs to be flexible to be able to grow toward the sunlight or toward the opportunity or the rain or whatever it happens to be. And a tree goes through predictable seasons, cycles, just like a business goes through predictable business cycles. And every cell of the tree is exactly the same, meaning the DNA in the cell, in the roots, in the trunk, and in the highest leaves and limbs is the same DNA. If it's a spruce tree, all of it's spruce. None of it's maple. If it's an oak tree, none of it is giant redwood. So the same thing's true for an organization. My son has worked for 26 years as an executive in HR at Four Seasons Hotels. And a year and a half ago, he left and became general manager of a resort hotel in Santa Barbara, California. But when he was with the Four Seasons, I asked him, you've interviewed thousands and thousands of people over these years. What do you look for? Degree from the Hospitality Institute at Cornell University? No. What do you look for? He said, Dad, I could look at their work experience and that would tell me something. And I could have them, do some tasks and that would tell me a few things. I could look at their grades from MIT or wherever they came from. But what I want to know is, are they a Four Seasons person? Because if they're not, they ought to be at Hilton or Sheraton or someplace else, not here. So he was hiring basically personal qualities and character and desire to serve, like our theme today. He was looking for those qualities because he could train people in all the other. And that's the key to this whole thing.
And you got a phrase, hire DNA, not resume.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Thank you.
If you listen out there.
Today's the first time I ever said it that way, but I really like the way that rings.
Oh, it's got me. It's like, yeah, if I have a team, it's, exactly, because everybody doesn't fit a company. It's, and I would assume the DNA changes in that person and doesn't fit the culture of that business. It's time for that leaf to drop and move on. I'm kind of using your tree analogy, right?
Yeah. Don't try to teach a pig to fly. Don't. It's just rabbits don't sing very well. So give up on that quest and help them find a niche that works for them, either within your organization or help them find a new job opportunity outside. I had some people that worked with me that I liked as humans, but it was clear they didn't belong in my company. And I had that conversation and made them aware of that. And they said, well, are you firing me? I said, no, I'm just making you aware that it doesn't work for you and it doesn't work for me. So let's find what does, and I'll help. I'll have a good referral, a testimonial for you. So just, square pegs, round holes, keep on looking for metaphors, there are plenty of them, but it all boils down to the same thing. Do what's right for who you are.
Jim, this is why I love doing shows. I've used your square peg, round hole 45 times since I met you because you said it on my podcast and you just said it again because it's so apropos. It fits. And how you, and I talked about it in a show on this morning, how you fire or let go of people, that's how you do as a servant's heart. It's hard enough to do it on both sides, but doing it that way, let me get your resume. I'll help you.
Yeah.
You can't be here, but people are going to walk away going, I like Jim. And by the way, audience, I've met 2 or 3 people that know you, that love you, have told me. So
thank you. My son, my wife and I were at dinner one time in a restaurant in Thousand Oaks, California. And the server walked up to the table and said, "How are the Cathcarts doing tonight?" And we said, "What? How do you know we're the Cathcarts?" And he said, "Well, you look just like your son, and your son. I used to work for your son at the Four Seasons." I said, "Oh my gosh! Well, nice to meet you." And we had a delightful dinner. I left a big hefty tip, of gratitude. So a couple of days later, I called my son. And I said, "Hey, I met so and so the other day," and he said, "Oh my God, I fired that guy." I said, "Well, he loves you." And he said, "Well, I try to provide a soft landing for people, but how about that?"
That is, audience, you take anything from this show, we're coming to the end here. That is powerful.
No, I don't want us to end.
I don't want to see the two, but the station's like, you got to end here soon since we're live.
Okay. All right.
So last, what would you tell the audience that they're excited now to be excellent? Let's not worry about expert now, celebrate.
Yeah.
Let's be excellent in what they do. Let's take that next level. What should they do?
Well, I've written it out in a book. Can I do a instant
Absolutely.
promo? Okay.
This show's yours, baby.
Mentor Minutes, and you can get it on Amazon. You can go to Cathcart.com and look for the books tab, and you can order it through there. But the point of that is it's 363 1-minute life lessons on how to reach and stay at the top 1% of your field. And quick metaphor extension here. See this acorn? It was given to be by Carolyn Brown, who used to be my office manager. Acorn has 3 parts: a stem that connects it to the past, a cap that holds the seed until it's ready, and then a seed that provides its future growth: past, present, future. Same thing's true in you. There is a seed of potential within you. You carry the legacy, the imprint of all the people in your line who ever existed, good, bad, and indifferent. The cap represents your parents, your coaches, your teachers, your role models, your heroes, your mentors who have held on to you until you were ready to grow on your own. The seed represents the potential that still lives in you and that will touch other lives throughout the remainder of time through the stem into other acorns. So nurture your nature.
Amen. I love this. Jim, thank you so much. And we got a minute left. Audience, I'm going to do something for you. First 5 people that reach out, that you watch this show, mention me or Jim, reach out to me or Jim. You saw his contact information, go by. I'll send you his book for free and get you on the next step of excellence, because he's helping me do that, and I'm getting close, and I might even be there because of his help. I've only known him a year, but this works, trust me. So with that being said, Jim and I want to thank all of you for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode next Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern with Together We Serve. Keep serving, keep loving life. Talk to you all soon.